Good evening. Happy Monday after Thanksgiving, everyone. Thank you for attending this regular meeting of the Board of Trustees of Little Elm ISD. Today is November 26, 2018. We will open the meeting at 6:30 p.m. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. The Texas state flag. Thank you. You may be seated. At this time, we'll move into introduction and roll call. Ms. Padilla.
Present.
Leanna Hardy. Here. Mr. David Montemayor.
Here.
Ms. Melissa Meyer.
Here.
Mr. Jason Olson.
Here.
Mr. Alejandro Flores.
Here.
And not present, Mr. Leon English.
Thank you, Ms. Padilla. We'll move to approval of minutes, the regular board meeting minutes of 10/15/2018. I need a motion to approve.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any questions or discussion? All those in favor, please raise your hand. Any opposed? Motion carries. We will now move into superintendent spotlight. Mr. Gallagher.
President Myers, Board of Trustees, at this time, I'd like to ask our principal for Oak Point Elementary, Mrs. Debbie Clark, to come up. And we have some wonderful students that will be singing tonight, I believe.
Good evening, honorable school board members and Mr. Gallagher. I'm excited for our talented fourth and fifth grade choir to have this opportunity to sing a few songs for you tonight. There are about 120 members. It's the largest choir we have ever had. We have almost 30 of our students here to perform for you tonight. They are all very dedicated and have never missed a practice or an event. I'm very honored to introduce Mr. Clint Turner, who is our music teacher at Oak Point. And I'm very proud to say that he graduated from our very own Little Elm High School in 2013. He informed me that Karen Mayberry inspired him to teach. His mom, Lori Turner, is a teacher at Chavez. Mr. Turner graduated from UNT in 2017 and began his teaching career at Oak Point last year. I can honestly state that he has a fan club at Oak Point, which includes staff, students, and parents. He is engaging and builds strong relationships with everyone. Now on to the show.
From our Veterans Day program that we did earlier this month. So we're going to start off, if you wouldn't mind please standing for singing of our national anthem by and up here. no, it's not Veterans Day anymore. We decided that there's never a wrong time to get to sing songs for our country and in the land of opportunity and freedom. So we figured our next song is going to be America the Beautiful. And this next song has become one of my favorite traditions when it comes to Veterans Day. We do it every year at a point. I have heard it in other places. It's the Salute to Armed Forces medley of the different anthems of the military. So I do ask if you are a military out in our audience today, you are more than welcome, and we invite you to stand when you hear the anthem of your respective military branch being performed. So, without further ado.
First we fight for the right and to build the nation's might, then we are eagles rolling on. Proud of all we have done, fighting till the battle's won, then we are eagles rolling along. Then it's time again, the army's on its way, not on the king is not as strong. Come on, ready, go,
I just want to thank everybody for being here. I especially want to thank the Oak Point Choir parents for the amazing amount of support. We reached out to 30 kids and ended up with what, 29. I mean, it's phenomenal the amount of the extra length that they go to help these students succeed, and I love it. And thank you to the administrators and the board for helping create a climate for success in fine arts in the district. I've been going to school here since I was 4 years old. I went to Animal Quackers. I was here from kindergarten to first grade. So my love for music was fueled completely by LEISD and people like Frank Felice at the high school and Karen Mayberry. So thank you all so much. And our last song is going to be without computer accompaniment. I'm going to attempt to accompany them on the piano for God Bless America for our final song.
Or in this case, keyboard.
All right.
God bless America, land that's I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night and the light from above. From the mountains to the valleys, to the oceans where we fall. God bless America, my home sweet home. God bless America, my home sweet home.
Clint, I want to say a special thank you to you for what you do for these students. And again, we're very proud that you're a Lobo for life. So thank you so much for instilling the love of music in this generation. So we truly appreciate you. Parents, thank you all so much for being here. And again, we've got great kids here in Little Elm ISD, and this is a great example of the students that we have. So thank you all so much for your support. And I think we're on to our next spotlight. And at this time, I would like to ask our high school principal, Miss Renee Pentecost, to come up to the podium.
Thank you, Mr. Gallagher and board. It is my pleasure once again to get to introduce to you a couple of our great high school students. This evening, I would like to ask Richard Morales and Madison Banda to come on up. And while they're coming up, I'll tell you that both of these outstanding students are rising stars in our health science program. They are both juniors, and really proud to get to tell you a little bit more about both of them tonight. First of all, I am going to introduce to you, this is Richard Morales, better known by many of his friends as Ricky. Mom likes him to be called Richard, so I promised I would do both. And I want to thank his mom for being here tonight. I believe there may be another family member or two here as well. Will y'all stand so we can thank you for being here? Thank you so much. Richard is quite the student. He currently is taking 5 AP classes and one dual credit class. He is very accomplished in the classroom, which he's going to need because his ultimate goal is to become a cardiologist. And his dream college is Columbia. So he has some pretty big goals that he is working towards, and he's doing everything in his power to get there. He has been a member of HOSA, Student Council, National Honor Society, and Wolfpack this year. I always like to share a little something that his teachers have said about our Students of the Month. So here is what a couple had responded back. This is from Julie Brown, his TWU dual credit math teacher. She says, Ricky is my top student, and he is always asking wonderful questions and leading class discussions. He also collaborates well with others when we do our group work in class, as well as being an awesome tutor. Ricky has really impressed me with his problem-solving skills and his compassion for others. Then his AP chemistry teacher said that Richard is a brilliant young man who is self-motivated, consistent, and actively engages in learning. He always completes his work with quality in mind. One of the attributes that helped rise both of these young people to the top of the list to become Students of the Month is they both, on their own, went to a summer program last summer that was in Massachusetts for future physicians and medical scientists. And some of the things that Richard shared with me about his time at this conference, he said that he got to hear from up and coming young physicians and some old guys that were from Harvard and Yale and those places. But he said he learned a lot about the profession and really enjoyed his time there. And they sent these nice big certificates, and as well as he's getting his certificate for Student of the Month. So Mr. Ricky Morales. And this is the envelope. So next, I would like to introduce you to Madison. Madison Banda is her last name. She also is looking forward to a future career in the health sciences. She wants to attend TWU and become a neonatal nurse practitioner. She also participates in HOSA, but she also has participated in DECA. She's in the ping pong club, and she is one of our PALS members. If you're not familiar with PALS, that is an acronym for Peer Assistance and Leadership. It's an actual class where these students learn how to mentor other students, and they partner with some of our elementaries and go over and work with other students in the district. She ran cross country in 9th grade, and both of these young people wanting to be in the medical profession are looking forward to their practicum class next year as seniors. Madison also attended the conference this summer, and the thing she most remembered about it is she got to meet the guy who invented the bionic eye. So again, they spent 3 days in Massachusetts really getting to hear from real practitioners and learning a lot. So Madison also is taking a very rigorous course selection. She's in forensics, anatomy, on-ramps, college algebra, on-ramps, college English, as well as her U.S. history, AP chemistry, and SAT, ACT prep. So Madison Banda. Here is that. And Madison's dad is here, so I wanted to recognize him. Where are you, Mr. Banda? Here he is up front. Thank you for being here today. Okay. There we go. Yep.
I want to say congratulations to Madison and Ricky. And real quick, Ricky, you were there when I ran the flag, correct? So some of the board members, if y'all don't know, I ran the flag with the Wolfpack at one of our football games, and I was getting a hard time from the board about stopping at the 50-yard line because they said I needed to catch my breath. So wasn't it correct that you told me I have to stop, do the flag around twice, and then I could run? So we set the record straight. All right, thank you all. Yeah. Well, I did catch my breath. At this time, I would like to ask Ms. Keisha Brown to come up to the podium for a special presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Gallagher. Thank you, board, for giving us this opportunity tonight. I won't be long, but I am very excited to have part of I call them the dynamic duo, the founders of the Gail McKay Foundation. And before I call Mr. Demetrius Holmes, before you all to thank him for helping out our school district and our students, I'd like to say a little bit about the two men that founded this organization. Trevante Rhodes and Demetrius Holmes are both natives of Little Elm, who attended Little Elm High School, graduating with the class of 2008. Both made promises to make an impact on a city that has contributed so much to their current success. As avid athletes, Trevante and Demetrius earned letters in both football and track and field, where they competed as sprinters in the 100 and 200 meter dash, as well as the 110 and the 400 meter hurdles, respectively. Both took their endeavors to a new level and received athletic and academic scholarships to the University of Texas at Austin and the University of Texas A&M at Commerce. Trevante competed in the 2009 Pan American Junior Athletics Championships in Port of Spain, Trinidad, and Tobago. Trevante also helped the U.S. squad to a gold medal in the 4x1 meter relay. At Texas A&M Commerce, Demetrius quickly became captain of the track team, where he also received the MVP award. He was treasurer of Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated and president of the Order of Omega, an honor fraternity for all Greek letter organizations. After college, Demetrius completed his MBA at Texas Woman's University and moved up the ranks to become a commercial banker within a well-known institution in San Diego, California. Trevante took a leap of faith and moved to Los Angeles, California, where his hard work and dedication landed him significant roles in movies such as Moonlight, The Predator, and Bird Box. With prior commitments to giving back to the community, Trevante and Demetrius created the Gail McKay Foundation with the primary goal to give students the opportunity to believe in themselves and succeed in every endeavor. And I'd like to say that one of our goals with the College Readiness Program in this district is to give every student access and opportunity to the information needed to further their educational career beyond Little Elm ISD. So at this time, I'd like to call Demetrius forward. Last year, we started a program. Come on up, Demetrius. Come on up. Last year, we started a program. Yes. Last year, we came up with the idea to start these college road trips. So exciting. And I just want to say that since I've been here, I started my 4th year with Little Elm ISD this year, and I'm always asking for something. And I've never been told no. You know, we'll figure it out. We'll do it. We'll get it done. It's always for the students. So we came up with this idea to do these college road trips. Our first road trip was to Stephen F. Austin University in Nacogdoches, Texas. We couldn't quite figure out how we were going to afford the nice charter bus that we wanted to take students and parents to this preview day at SFA. And so the Gail McKay Foundation stepped forward and said, you know what? We'll get that. You're taking students to a college? Sure, we'll help out with that. And so that is how we were able to take 55 students along with their parents to Stephen F. Austin's Fall Preview Day last year. 3 years ago, we started our freshman college tours program, where we take the entire freshman class and we split them up among 7 to 8 colleges each year. We take them all to a college campus. They all receive a college tour, an admission presentation, financial aid, and they get to have lunch on campus. This year, we were wondering how our students would receive their commemorative t-shirt that they receive every year that has their graduation year on it and says Freshman College Tours. Once again, Demetrius reached out and said, hey, you know, we actually have an application. Why don't you apply for our grant and we'll see what happens. I applied for the grant and of course it was approved. And so I just want to say from the bottom of my heart, from the bottom of our hearts and everyone in the district, our board, our leadership here, thank you all so, so much. Without you, these endeavors would not be possible. So thank you so much. And the certificate says, Certificate of Appreciation, this 26th day of November, 2018, Little Elm ISD honors the Gail McKay Foundation for invaluable contributions made in fostering educational excellence in the Lobo community.
Thank you.
We have a couple of other goodies for you, some swag, take back to California with you. And he's all the way from California, so I'm very, very thankful that he was able to be here tonight. And then also something for you to remember us by.
Thank you so much.
Demetrius, I want to say a huge thank you on behalf of the board just for the support that you've given us. But also I want to say a huge thank you to Keisha for the work that she does, because without her leadership, these things wouldn't be happening. So thank you so much for what you do, Keisha. And again, Demetrius, it's great to have you back home, and we really do appreciate what you do. Ms. Myers, would you like to get in the picture?
Yeah.
Thank you again, Demetrius and Ms. Brown. Thank you so much. All right, next. Yes. Ms. Myers, I'm going to turn the mic over to you to talk about our Community Involvement Committee.
So we have the Community Involvement Committee has a presentation for this evening, so I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Blackwood and Ms. Harding at this time.
Yes, she must go on.
Stage right.
Yeah, don't worry, you can hand them out.
Okay, thank you.
One of the things we as a board try to do, we have different subcommittees that we put together throughout the year to work on different aspects that the board deals with. One of the boards we've been working on, myself and Leanna and Mr. English, who's not here this evening, we actually have the Community Involvement Committee where we try and find ways to work with the community and recognize the community in different aspects. For the first time ever, we decided to go ahead and do something with a lot of the booster organizations and parent organizations in the district, and just provide basically just an acknowledgement of everything they do for the students and the kids in the district. So at this time, we sent out an invitation to as many of the organizations that we could come up with and contacted the principals at all the different campuses. And they reached out to all the different PTAs, and at the high school and the middle school, a lot of the booster clubs that are involved. There's a possibility there's a couple we miss, and if that's the case, we do apologize. We were really trying to do this off the top of our head as much as we could. But we did send invitations out, and I believe the majority of everyone did respond, and we have at least one representative from, I believe, each PTA and several of the booster organizations here this evening. So we're going to go ahead and call your names out, and basically the group that you're with, and right there. And Ms. Harding will provide you their certificate. First of all, and unfortunately, this doesn't have the name of the individuals that are here, but it does have the organization. So if you recognize your organization, please come on up. First, we have the Executive Booster Club for the high school, the LAISD Executive Athletic Booster Club. And if y'all all just kind of stay around somewhere, because I'm sure we'll get a picture with everyone. Yeah, don't worry. We'll go through it pretty quick. And then now we have the Little Elm High School Band Boosters. And then the high school baseball boosters. The middle school band booster. The middle school athletic boosters. They didn't make it.
Oh, they're not there?
No, they didn't make it. The high school football booster. There we go. A lot of sports here. We're going to get to the PTAs in just a little bit. Sorry. The high school soccer boosters. The high school golf boosters. Yeah. And the high school volleyball. All right, the Hackberry Elementary PTA. The Brent PTA. Lakeview PTA. Let me see, Chavez PTA. Okay. Oak Point PTA. Prestwick PTA. There we go. See, sorry, got a couple more athletic ones here. The high school tennis boosters. Okay, see that. See the high school basketball boosters. And lastly, the Lakeside Middle School PTA. Again, we just want to recognize all the individuals that are up here and everyone that they represent. The hours that these parents put in and the other volunteers with these organizations is really phenomenal. And the amount of softball, I apologize, softball, we do not have a certificate for you, I don't
But come up.
think. Come on up,
Do
please.
softball.
I apologize. I'm sorry. Thank you. Very much apologize. Very much apologize for that. But the amount of hours they put in, and some of the organizations with, especially the boosters, the amount of money that they raise and donate to the programs in the schools is really fabulous. So again, we just want to say thank you to everyone that was here tonight and show our appreciation.
Wait, I think, hold on. Yeah, we need a
Okay.
picture. While you're taking the picture, I want to echo, y'all can look out there because they're going to do a picture. Yeah, while Cecilia's taking a picture, I want to echo what Mr. Blackwood said. The amount of time that okay, they're arranging. Oh yeah, you need to be up there too. Yes. But to each one of you up here, thank you so much, because the time that you put into devoting to whether it's athletics, whether it's band, whether it's PTA, we could not do what we do without your support and without your help. So we truly appreciate y'all. All right, next I would like to ask Dr. Cindy Mecca to come up, and it looks like she is there ready to go. So Dr. Mecca, the mic is yours.
Thank you. I have the distinct honor tonight of recognizing two very important departments and group here at Little Elm ISD. these staff members work often behind the scenes and aren't always recognized for the hard work that they do. The first are the ladies that work at our campuses. And there are PEIMS specialists, and PEIMS is our Public Education Information Management System. And I always like to say that they're the reason we get all the money we get, because they put all the data into our computer system, which then our department gets submitted to the state. And so they make sure that all of our student information is correct. They have worked tirelessly since before school started, when registration began, until just last week. We finally got the notice that we were error-free, and we'll be ready to submit probably by the end of this week, at least 2 weeks ahead of schedule. So without further ado, when I call your names, these are the PEIMS specialists that work hard at all of our campuses. We have Carol Alonzo from Hackberry Elementary. Ricky Blackwood from Lakeside Middle School. Melissa Kavnor from Chavez Elementary. Christine Cook from Oak Point Elementary. Karina Gattaca from Brent Elementary. Monica Matthews from Lakeside Middle School, Powell Center. Matthew, sorry, we skipped Manley. We're gonna switch some around. That's all right. We've kind of, Christine, yours is still up here, so I'm not quite sure who you're holding. Debbie Manley from Lakeview Elementary wasn't able to be with us today. So we have Monica Matthews. It takes a few of us. Jennifer Phillips from Little Elm High School. And Carmen Romero from Prestwick K-8. Love the shirts. So these ladies, like I said, they work behind the scenes, often in offices. They're not out and about with the students, but what they do is invaluable. And I know working with a lot of you as a principal, and then helping to work with Kendall and Brandon and Elaine and the department, is how much work y'all put into making sure that what you do is correct and that it gets submitted on time, and that you're always there with a smile on your face to greet our customers, which are our parents and our students. So thank you so much for all your hard work. I also want to recognize this evening.
When you do a picture.
Pictures. Get shot.
I'd also like to recognize the team here at central office at Zellers that works as hard as anyone I know. I'm often late at night will catch things on email or see that things have happened in the system. And I know that it's Kendall, Elaine, and Brandon that are working late behind the scenes and often doing wondrous things with the computer that none of us knew were able to be happening. I can't tell you what, I just go down and say, can you do this? And it happens. So first, I'd like to recognize Kendall Euler, who is our coordinator for District PEMS. Elaine Weber is our newest hire in the department. She is our data analyst and support specialist. And I can't say enough about this next one, Brandon Thompson. He is our director for data processing and information services and the guru of everything focus. And so what he's able to program our student information system to do is the envy of every other district across the state of Texas. Often I'm at conferences or events and I'll say, our student information system can do this. And I said, well, how do you do that? And I said, well, I have a Brandon. So, but I cannot thank this group right here, Kendall, Elaine, and Brandon, for the support that they give to the PEMS department, for the support that they give to our principals, and for the support that they give to our leadership team. Thank you very much.
Dr. Mecca, I will echo those words. Our PEM specialist on our campuses is speaking from a former principal's perspective. It's such a just invaluable, just incredible position. And we appreciate what you guys do. And again, here at Central Office, thank you to our Central Office team as well. At this time, I would like to ask our Executive Director for Special Populations, Ms. Courtney Clover, to come up for an introduction of our new Assistant Director for Special Populations.
Yes, thank you. Good evening, President Myers, Board of Trustees, Mr. Gallagher, thanks for having me. I would like to ask Lori Tobin and her husband Doug to come up. Sorry. I'll just move over a little. How's that? I think there's a microphone and a microphone close together maybe. So, and I'll reiterate, PEMS, that's especially the Special Populations Department. You guys are amazing. That's where all of our weighted funding comes from. So that's not right. Is that it? Maybe. We'll try. Anyways, how about you guys come over here so that everybody else can see you? That's better than if I see you. So it's my honor and with gratitude to introduce you to our new Assistant Director for Special Populations, Lori Tobin. So thank you guys for having us out tonight, and her husband, Doug, who got to accompany her this evening. So I wanted to introduce you. And in Special Populations, we are all about knowing the child and the story behind the child. So I wanted to share a little bit with you about Lori. As the first child in her family to graduate not only from high school, but also from graduate school, she was raised by her loving but illiterate grandparents. Unable to read herself until second grade, she knows the power of public education. And she has had the honor of teaching not only high school, but middle school and elementary school students. She has provided community support through transitional services at rehabilitation centers for people with physical disabilities, all the way through working as at a college level administrator with vocational services for special ed students. In addition, she's also taught fifth grade. She has spent the last 8 years in district administration as an elementary specialist, supporting students who needed significant intervention, specifically in math and reading literacy and intervention. And she has received multiple awards during her career. including things like Special Ed Teacher of the Year for the state of Indiana. She has been Teacher of the Year in her district previously, Purdue University Outstanding Leadership Development Program Award. So she comes to us with a wealth of knowledge, information, and application. So we're really, really grateful to have her be with us in Little Elm ISD and be able to contribute to all of the great things that we're doing here in Little Elm and help support the students here, not just students in special populations, but to all of our students and to our staff, and to help grow everything about Little Elm ISD. So when she's not busy teaching big or small how to read, you can find her running a 5K. She loves to help. She donates lots of her time and energy in supporting the homeless and spending time with her husband, Doug, and their daughters, and her dogs. And I know that her grandparents would be very proud. So welcome to Little Elm. We're grateful to have her. Very much. And we will not keep you from dinner, I think. So.
Thank you, Courtney and Dr. Tobin. Again, welcome. Thank you so much. We're just proud to have you here. So do you want to say anything?
Just that I'm incredibly humbled to be here. I think I've had a wonderful career, and I've worked with wonderful administrators and terrific teachers. And I've just been extraordinarily overwhelmed with the welcome that I received from the campus administrators, from district leadership, from teachers. I cannot begin to let you know that when I think of my grandparents and the smack they gave me when I misbehaved, they'd be thinking, Lori, this is all right. This is all right, and thank you again, and I just pray that I can live up to the expectations that you've put on me. Thank you.
All right, at this time, do we have any citizen input in this video? All right. The board will now recess into closed meeting in PL1 as permitted by the Texas Opens Meeting Act, Code Subchapter 551.072 and 551.074 to discuss personal and land discussions. We will adjourn at 7:19. come back into session at 8:20. First up will be reports of the superintendent. Mr. Gallagher.
President Myers, board members, at this time, I would like to ask Dr. Cindy Mika. Oh. Oh, okay. So do we
I'm
want to
sorry,
move?
I thought you knew that.
No,
Oh.
it's not on my, sorry.
Okay, I apologize, my error.
So apparently,
Yes. We're going to go with E and then C.
thank you. So, Mr. Rod Reeves, thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. President Myers and members of the board and Superintendent Gallagher. I'd like to introduce Mr. Trent Smith from Templeton Demographics. He's going to be providing our third quarter growth report. And we thought this would be kind of an annual event for Templeton, one, so you can see who we use. Also, remember, this is our snapshot that's kind of used to determine the other growth report numbers. And so it's kind of an important date for us. Also, I really want to thank Mr. Trent Smith and Templeton Demographics for all the great work they did on our attendance zone meetings, especially our committee meetings. He was there to geocoded every student, I guess, was able to kind of go through different neighborhoods and was really instrumental in providing some help to Dr. Tipton and I. So we really appreciate all of your help on that, Trent. So on that note, I'll turn it over to you.
Good evening, President Myers, members of the board. Mr. Gallagher, thank you for having me out tonight. I know that normally Rod carries this load for us most quarters. So we appreciate the opportunity to come out and meet with you guys and meet you face to face. Tonight, I'm going to go through the third quarter demographic report, and I'm going to kind of look at the economy a little bit, look at some housing data, and then we'll get into the 10-year enrollment projections. If you look, the DFW market continues to grow in employment. We're at 1.7% job growth over the last 12 months, ending in September of 2018. Where 63,000 jobs were created in that time frame. That's almost double the national rate of 1%. Unemployment continues to drop, which is amazing to be down in the low threes. And anytime you're below 5, you're considered full employment. So when you're down in the threes, it's hard to find people. So bus drivers, custodial workers, especially those kind of positions, even substitute teachers all come at a premium now, trying to find people for those positions. Did build 35,000 homes in the last 12 months. And in the DFW market, that's up 1,500 over the previous year, all that ending in the third quarter. So the houses are continuing to be built, obviously. And you look here in Little Elm, you're number 6 in the DFW market as far as number of new homes closed. So that's that second column of numbers. And you get 1,431 homes closed in that 12-month period ending in the third quarter, 1,343 starts, and you have 1,421 VDL or vacant developed lots. So those are lots that are ready to build on today. They've got utility streets, everything ready to go. And then you've got over 3,000 futures. Now that is based somewhat on some of the additional research that we've done. And then, of course, it does not include the age-restricted neighborhood that you have at Frisco Lakes. And so, but you definitely have several more years of heavy growth in the housing market. When you look at that by quarter, and so you can see this graph here, and you look at 2018, that's through the first 3 quarters of 2018. So it's still got another quarter to add to that. So it's likely going to look very much like the 2017 graph when we get there. We are expecting you to grow about 1,400 starts in the 2018 fiscal year, then or calendar year, I'm sorry, and then have about more than 1,200 closes in that same period. When you look at what's coming down the pipe, you can see these are homes that we would consider starts in or closes, I'm sorry, in that school year. So this is the 18-19 school year. We're expecting to have more than 1,200 home closes. The following year, it's going to be down just a little bit, just right around that 1,100 number. And but kind of staying at those numbers for the next 3 years, We do expect things to slow down a little bit as the district gets closer and closer to build out. It'll slow down. It'll just, by nature, it'll slow down a little bit. So we are forecasting over 1,200 homes for the fall of 2019. And the district is projected to close between, 600 to 1,200 homes annually for the next 5 years. So what does that look like here on the map? This is a thematic map that shows basically where the bulk of your activity is by not only by subdivision, but also by elementary zone. And so in those elementary zones that have more than 400 closes, those are the red elementary zone, that's Oak Point. And then you've got Hackberry and Prestwick that both have between 200 and 400. So that's the heat map that you see. And then your top 10 subdivisions are the blue dots. The Tribute being number one with 313 annual closes there. You had Frisco Lakes, which was 202, but obviously, that's an age-restricted neighborhood. But what I wanted you to see is you have 5 of these out of the top 10 are all in Oak Point area. And so 4 of those are in the Oak Point area. I did want to point out a couple of these. Paloma Creek South, you can see has 10 vacant developed lots, but 0 futures. So that's about to be done. And all of those on this chart basically that have 0 futures are likely going to build out within the next 6 to 12 months. So this is what's happening right now with home closes. The next slide is our vacant developed lots. That's what's going to happen over the next 2 to 3 years. And you can see Tribute still has, about 800 more homes to build with 300 vacant developed lots and 548 futures. And then you've got, North Lake Estates. I wanted to point that one out, number 4, because it's got 0 annual closings because it just got kicked off with 134 vacant developed lots. And so that one's going to be now on the map for a while as well, with about 700 total lots there. But going further down, you can see a few of the smaller ones are also going to be starting to build out over the next several years as well. So the next slide is the future. So that's what's going to happen after that next 3 to 4 years, everything that's coming along the pipe moving forward. You can see North Lake Estates is getting kicked off, but you have several like Villages of Creekwood, South Oak, Oak Grove, and the Lily Tract, which all have 0 vacant developed lots and 0 closes because those are still in the future stages and haven't actually started up yet. But 6 of those 10 are in Oak Point Elementary Zone. So when you look at it specifically by elementary zone, this is just a table kind of putting together those last 3 maps. You can see Oak Point is definitely is going to continue to be your highest amount of activity. That's the yellow is the highest, green is second, and that rose color is third. But you can see, Lakeview, Oak Point, and Prestwick are your 3 most active elementary schools as far as home closes go. And when you look over and see, add together that vacant developed lots plus your future lots, you've got about 4,000 or so, homes left to build on that we currently know of. The next slide is just an overview slide of the district, and it shows where those 1,300 vacant developed lots are. The green subdivisions are your active subdivisions. The yellow outline subdivisions are your future subdivisions where those have not yet reached, haven't delivered any lots in those subdivisions yet. The district has roughly 2,800 futures there, and that's without the age restricted. We're not counting the age restricted in that future number. Groundwork is currently underway on about 590 lots. So that's those that are moving from the future into that vacant developed lot location. So you're likely going to deliver that 590 lots sometimes between now and the next 6 months. Sure. Yeah, Frisco Lakes is part of that, but it's not counted in the total of futures there. But it is very active, and that's important for you guys to understand that. No, in Frisco Lakes, there will be no children out of there. It's 55 and older only. So it's actually the part that's outlined in red that's in Hackberry. That's all Frisco Lakes. Okay. So- Okay. So now we'll take a look at several of these. We're not going to look at all of them, but we will look at a few. Here's Valencia Lakes, 1,320 total lots there, split between Denton and Little Elm. About almost 1,100 total lots in Little Elm ISD. You've got 285 vacant developed lots with 126 homes under construction. They've got groundwork on their way on their next 139 lots, and they're building about 100 to 150 homes a year there. Current student yield is about a 0.33, so that's 33 students for every 100 homes in Valencia currently. The next couple are Wild Ridge. So Wild Ridge has about 1,073 lots there, again, split between Denton and Little Elm. About 773 total lots in Little Elm ISD, 261 vacant developed lots with 42 homes under construction. They're building about 120 to 150 homes a year, and the student yield there is about a 0.29. At Shahan Lakeview, you got 379 total lots there with 83 vacant developed lots, 66 homes under construction, and they're got groundwork underway on their next 40 to 60 homes, or 44 homes there, building about 40 to 60 homes per year, and they've got a higher yield of about 0.52 there, right there around the elementary school. When you look at the Tribute has a little over 2,200 total lots there, 309 vacant developed lots with about 94 homes under construction right now. The next phase of 105 lots is the groundwork is underway there, with also groundwork underway on an additional 150 of Westbury. And they're building about 300 to 350 homes a year, and their current yield is about 0.37. Next slide shows basically the multifamily overview of the district. And so we wanted to highlight the apartment buildings and as well as some of the mobile home parks that are within the district to kind of show you exactly where they are and then what their yields are. You can see where, Inwood has about a 0.33, Lakeview Court has about a 0.33. And then you've got some like Lakeside Manor, which only has one current student there. Village at Lakefront, only a 0.1. But then you've got Preston on the Lake, which is about 0.99. That's a mobile home park. And that's not unusual at all for that yield to be that high in a mobile home park. And so you currently have about 715 students in multifamily units. 715 multifamily units in various stages of planning across the district. So you can see that kind of turquoise color. Those two facilities are in the planning stages there. That's Little Elm Lakefront, and the other one is Lakefront on El Dorado. And those are both in the planning stages, but we don't have a definitive time frame on those yet. So what does that look like with resident yield? Out of district, you've got about 210 total out of district. As far as students that are geocoded, we geocoded over 7,500 students. So we only had one unmatched this year. So we've been very diligent this year to clean up our unmatched, and we got it down to one student for this district, which is pretty crazy. Students in multifamily, you got about 500 students there in those 925 total units, and that's about a 0.538 student yield across the district. Where in the single family, it's about a 0.43. So it's actually lower right now in that, and that all has to do with those mobile home parks with the extremely high yield that those actually have. And so we are seeing across the state that yields are going down in really across the whole state of Texas. And so part of that is you've got low birth rate over the last several years. And so that's really taken its toll on the amount of enrollment in public schools across the state of Texas. And so that's really kind of put the brakes on the yield. And then you've also got a lot of more retirement folks moving in from out of state because of the cost of living makes such a big difference in how they can retire. So when you look at the 10-year enrollment projections, this year you grew 267 students to be at 7,793. We do expect you to grow another 222 students next year. And then the following year, get down just under 200 students. That really has to do with that small senior class of that year. So the class that right now this year are 10th graders is a pretty small class for your 10th grade. As it comes down, it's going to hit 467 after that large class that'll be your seniors next year at 517. And so that kind of is why you get down under that 200 mark, is that difference in those two classes. So you've got a couple of classes there that are smaller. And then after that, you've got a pretty big jump from that 415 students senior class in 2021 up to that 530. And so that's really where those numbers really start to, after those two smaller classes exit the district, you've got larger classes filling those spots. And so as that happens, it's really got a pretty significant effect on the enrollment. That's why you get up in those 300s those next 2 years after that. And then going back down to hitting back in that 200 student a year range moving forward. We do expect you to have more than 8,000 students next year and have a 5-year growth of about 1,276 students to be at just over 9,000 students out in 2023 and grow 2,346 students to be just over 10,000 students out in 2028, 29. When you look at it by campus, you can see right now at Brent, you're at 692, expecting to kind of stay at that number because Brent's pretty well built out. And so that number is going to kind of bounce a little bit around, but it's going to stay pretty level moving forward. Chavez, very similar. Once it gets out past the 2023, you're going to start hitting that 700 number. And then it's going to kind of level out at about 750. At Hackberry, you're at 667, hitting over 700 next year, hitting over 800 out in 2023, and getting up in the 830s later on in 2026, 27. At Oak Point, you're at 764, hitting over 800 next year, and then basically hitting 900 the following year, hitting 1,100 out in 2023, getting up to that 1,300 number out in 2026. At Prestwick Elementary, you're at 443. We expect you to hit 500 out in 2022, and then continue growing to 550 out in 2028, 29. At the middle school level, right now you're at 323 at the Prestwick, at the 6 through 8 part of that, at that location, hitting 350 out in 2021, and then kind of leveling off and then starting up again, seeing some more, hitting 389 out in 2028. At Lakeside, 1,474, hitting over 1,500 next year, and then hitting 1,600 out in 2023. Obviously, these numbers are all going to change when you open 2 new junior highs. So, but these are just showing you the amount of growth that's coming through the middle school. At the high school level, you're at 2162, hitting over 2,200 next year, hitting over 2,300 and really 2,400 in 2021, and hitting 2,500 out in 2022, and then kind of starting to level a little bit off as you get out there, but we're expecting you to get up to that about 2,800 to 3,000 as you move forward as a district, getting closer to build out. And so finally, you get unemployment is down below 3.5%, which is a crazy number. We do expect you to close more than 1,000 homes this year and next year as well. And then you've got Oak Point accounts for about 38% of your annual closings within the district, and nearly half of all your futures are in the Oak Point elementary zone. The district is projected to continue to close between 600 and 1,200 homes over the next 5 years, and to reach a total enrollment of over 9,000 students out in 2023 and over 10,000 students out in 2028, 29. There's a lot of information, and I went through it relatively fast, so if you have any questions.
Any questions from the board?
Is there any way, well, based upon a conversation happening later tonight, I believe, maybe the next report, maybe we could get a split out on projected for the two new middle schools to be on the
Absolutely.
table?
Absolutely.
It'd be nice just to be able to see that over the 10-year mark. Thank you,
That-
appreciate it.
Yeah, and that information is available now, actually,
Okay.
with, based on the different maps.
I think
So-
we actually have that in the presentation. Is that correct,
Yeah.
Rod? Okay.
I wasn't out there, so I apologize. Okay.
Okay. Great, thank you.
So once,
Previous engagement.
and once that's finally approved, then we'll put that together and it'll be in all the presentations moving forward. So, what,
All right, thank you, Trent. At this time, President Myers, I would like to request that we move item C up because we actually have Chief Harrison here, and I'd like to give him the opportunity to come up. So, Mr. Roberts, you want to introduce Chief Harrison?
You bet. Thank you, Mr. Gallagher. Board of Trustees. Boy, I tell you, I was kind of sweating a little bit, and so I'm glad that we bumped him up because whenever he looks at me and just shakes his head, that's not good. So I'm very glad that we get to bump him up. On a serious note, we are very thankful that part of this district and community, myself, every day, all of our work is important. But there is not anything more important to me than my working relationship with Chief Harrison. We work very closely together, and we can't tell him enough how much we appreciate him and the police department and the work that they do for this community and for our kids. And he's always a bundle of joy to be with, and so we appreciate him. And seriously, I think it's very important. It's very important for us to have a quality relationship because it does come down to the safety of our kids and our teachers and adults. And I think we do a better job collectively whenever we work well together. So thank you, Chief, for being here.
I don't know if you want to talk. Oh, I can just talk from right here. I think it'll be fine. Well, I'm going to have to buy him lunch tomorrow for all that. That's a pretty good one. It was good. All seriousness, President, board members, Dr. Gallagher, thank you, number one, for letting me come tonight. I think I was scheduled to come last month, but I had some prior commitments or some issues that came up. So thank you for the flexibility. I think it's very important for our relationship for me to personally come and speak to the board and answer any questions you may have about what's going on in the district. I'd like to give you some statistics. And don't freak out when I give you these statistics, okay? Because they're not bad, but when you hear them, you're going to go, oh my gosh. We're not bad though. I pulled statistics for the high school, the middle school, and the Powell campus, mainly because that's our actual buildings that have children located there that have what's considered criminal responsibility. So basically anyone 10 years old or above could fall into that category of being held criminally responsible for something. The high school, we ran from the start of school to today, we've had 190 calls for service or CAT events. That doesn't mean that we're, lights and siren running to the high school because something bad has happened. That's events that are generated by our SROs, okay? They may be criminal events. They may be just things that are matters of concern that we document at the police departments. It may turn out to be a criminal matter later on. Out of those 190 calls for service, the majority of those were meet complainant calls, okay? And you're probably wondering, what in the world is a meet complainant call? That's a catch-all that we use for when we're going to sit down with somebody and have a personal one-on-one conversation to try to determine if there is a criminal event or if it's just you just want to tell me a story. So what I'm trying to get across here is that our SROs are spending a lot of time visiting with students. It may not be a criminal matter. A lot of times it's more just they're looking for guidance on something. Out of those 190 calls for service or CAD events, we had 22 that were narcotics related. One is too many, okay? But I want to tell you something. We're just like any other community in this nation. Marijuana is very, very prevalent, and prescription medication is very, very prevalent in our community. It's a problem that we face every day. It's not going away. It's going to be here for a while. I think we're getting better at detecting these type things. So that's why we have 22 on the books right now. It's also shows us it's not our police officers that are out like nabbing people doing things wrong. A lot of it is the school staff that has developed a rapport with the children that report this stuff to us. And then so our SROs go out, make contacts, and try to resolve it. We've had 4 assault calls at the high school. Now that may start off as a fist fight. When you and I were children, it would be a fist fight probably, and it probably wouldn't turn into a criminal act. We've actually have had 4 assault calls. That could also be where somebody improperly touched someone. Sometimes somebody gets handsy and somebody walks by and they slap somebody. If it's offensive, that's an assault. We've had 4 of those. I'm very proud to say we've had 3 theft calls reported, okay? That's very unusual. Because, normally it's when someone loses their cell phone, it turns into a theft, somebody steals it or something. But we've only had 3 of those. We've had 1 overdose this year at the high school. Now, I can't tell you what it is, but it's some type of prescription medication that we ran a call for that. But basically, other than the 22 narcotic-related calls, you've had 4 assaults, 3 thefts, and 1 overdose, okay? In my world, that's not bad, okay? In your world, it may be. You may think it's horrible, and I understand that. But I'm just telling you from a police chief standpoint, that's really not bad, okay? Middle school has had 77 calls for service or CAD events. 1 was a narcotics related. We've had 5 assaults, 6 thefts, 1 threat where someone threatened to do violence, and we've actually had 1 overdose at the middle school level. Very, very shocking. But you're no stranger to this. You know that our society, even our younger kids, are being involved in stuff. The Powell campus has had 9 calls for service or CAD events. 2 of those involve assaults, 2 involve threats, and 1 narcotics related. So, even at that level, it's happening. And usually this is where someone finds something at their home and they bring it to school and they shouldn't have them with them, okay? I know those numbers may be a little shocking to you, but in the police chief's world, it's really not, okay? I'm not alarmed at that. I actually thought the numbers would be worse when I pulled them, because I was expecting it to be worse, because I just compare our schools to other schools, but we really are doing a lot better. Are there any questions about those statistics that I gave you or the stats that I pulled? Okay.
One quick question. Just because I've heard of this recently, how is the vaping being handled for underage? How is that being classified?
Jason, I don't know if I have an answer for that one. Drew, would you like to, can you say anything about the vaping?
Yes, it's a Class C misdemeanor, the offense.
Okay.
That's referred to our municipal court. So that's being handled by the campus SRO and administration doing administrative discipline as well. And so those students.
So that's not good?
System wouldn't show up with anything more than a citation.
That's correct.
But it's being referred to municipal court.
But is that going under a CAD? Is that actually
It would be
being
a CAD
considered?
call, yes.
Okay.
Sure.
I would just be curious maybe next time to see that it just called out and see how the numbers are going on that out of curiosity.
Okay, no problem. I want to give some praise to our SROs. I'm very, very happy with the way the program is working. As a chief of police, you like nothing better than to get that phone call where somebody says, I want to tell you how much I love Officer Burrell over at Hackberry Elementary. Everybody just loves him, or you hear about the Drew Mitchells and the things that they're doing at their campuses. So I'm very, very pleased with that. you know, like anything, sometimes things don't go right. We have to reevaluate and look and see what we need to do better. But I can tell you that on a daily basis, out in the public, meeting and speaking with people, they talk very highly of our SROs, and I'm very, very pleased to that. Last but not least, I'd like to hit on one thing that I think is what's been the success of our program so far. It's really kind of like what Ross talked about a few moments ago. You know, in the past, there maybe has not been a very good relationship between the police department and the school district. And I'm talking many years ago. I'm not talking about since I've been the chief of police. And I want you to know that it's a team effort. You know, we talk about it takes the village to raise the kiddos. Well, I believe in that 100%. And I've never had the working relationship that I've had with the staff. There's no request that I cannot pick up the phone and call and say, hey, we need to look at this. But it goes back to, we have a monthly meeting. We have breakfast. I make Ross buy, to actually be honest. But we, oh, come on now. But we literally, there's nothing that's off bounds in there. We can come in there, everybody hangs their egos up. We walk in, we talk about what's best for our kids. And I believe that that's what has made us the successful program that we are right now. I hope that you feel the same way, that we're being successful. I can tell you from, you know, my feedback that I'm getting, things are working. We can always do things better, but, you know, I'm very, very pleased with the way things are going. Is there anything else I can answer for you?
I got, well, two things. One of them just kind of on a, I guess, a workable note. The statistics that you pulled, do you have something that you can send? I'm going to volunteer Sonia just so she can add it to our board book, just so we have.
Sure. I can pull you actually the CAD reports and just send them to you.
Thank you. I'd appreciate that. And I just wanted to reiterate, thank you, because I know that I've heard nothing but praise from our SRO program and what you guys have done, the relationships. You know, my daughter at the high school, you know, I've had 4 kids go through and they've always had good relationships and it's just gotten better. So I wanted to thank you. I wanted to thank your team, and just, you guys have been fabulous for our district.
I'll pass it on. Thank you so much.
Any other questions from the board?
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, Chief Harrison, thank you. I just want to echo what Leanna said and what the board said. Just appreciate you, appreciate the relationship. And I think Ross is going to buy you lunch. Is that what I heard? All right. Thank you, Chief. All right, at this time, Dr. Miko, would you come to the podium and present on our demographic snapshot?
Okay, so we celebrated our PEAM specialists earlier, and one of the big jobs with them from the beginning of the first day of school until the last Friday, which we call Snapshot, the last Friday in October. And this year it was on October 26th. And that is our official day that we take for enrollment, ethnicity, accountability purposes, et cetera. And so what I am reporting to you here are the numbers that we will be turning into the state at the end of this week that we had enrolled and in our seats on Friday, October the 26th. And as you know, with a high growth district, these numbers have already changed, but these are the students that, if they are here on state assessment days, these are the students that we are accountable for. And these are the numbers that will go forward when they're looking at our grant applications, et cetera. And so we have updated our dashboard, and just to remind you where that's located, it's located in our district, and then the second button is demographic and performance dashboard. Right now, the only dashboard that is current is the student demographics dashboard. The other 3 dashboards on the side, our staff, student performance, page 1 and page 2, are off of the taper, and that has been delayed this year from the state. It was supposed to come out in October, then it was supposed to come out in November, and we've just received notice that that won't come out now until sometime in December with no date. And so but the student demographics is current on the dashboard. So on the snapshot date, we had 7,768 students enrolled. 2,130 were at the high school, 1,800 were at the middle schools, both Prestwick and LMS. And then we had 3,838 students in pre-K 5th grade at our elementary campuses. Here is our trend for the past 4 years. At the bottom, we have 2015. The second is 2016, 2017, and 2018. So you can see, I was showing this to Cabinet today, just the difference of in looking just even at the day after Labor Day, the amount of students that we grew from year to year has increased this year. We have enrollment by campus for you. And so similar to what Trent showed you, our I'm sorry, our largest elementary school is Oak Point Elementary School. And then after that, we have Chavez and Brent. What's really interesting is Brent came in at 686 students and Chavez came in at 686 students on snapshot date. You know, I'm a numbers person. I have to find joy in something. When I saw that, I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. I don't think I've ever seen that before here. Enrollment by grade, our fifth grade is our largest grade on snapshot day with 635 students. But you can see what Trent was talking about, that we have the upside down pyramid occurring pretty much in the district, where our younger grades are our bigger grades. And then as soon as we graduate out those 11th and 12th grades that are coming up, then everything following that are closer to the 600 or larger ranges. We continue to be a minority-majority district with 37.72% of our district is made up of Hispanics, and 36.69% are whites. We have 16.67% are African Americans, 4.49% are 2 or more races, and then this one's really taken off this year, Asians coming in at 3.85%.
Did you say we're minority majority again?
Yes.
We are. Okay.
Yes. We were, last year we tipped back and then we're back up again. Yes. So when we talk about special programs, those are the programs that we run, that a lot of them we get special allotment money on. At risk, we consider that our state comp ed allotment based on our at-risk numbers, and that's almost 51%. Our CTE is almost 28%. We have about 3% of our students are in the dyslexia program. Economically disadvantaged is 45.4%. We run right under 6% for gifted and talented. Our immigrant numbers are staying steady at 1.16. Limited English proficient of staying steady at 18.25. Our migrant dropped this year. Right now, as of snapshot date, we had 0 migrant students listed. That's down slightly from 0.07, but still. We had on snapshot date 0.01% for our PRS services, and our special ed has increased quite a bit to 8.12%. So our 4-year trends, you can see here, this is an interesting graph. Here are 504 numbers. You can see that they're remaining steady. At risk, this is something that we like to see decrease, and over 4 years, we have had a decrease overall. CTE, dyslexia stayed pretty steady. Economically disadvantaged has increased. Gifted and talented has stayed steady. Immigrant has stayed steady. Our LEP is pretty steady. Migrant, always minimal numbers up in our area. PRS, and then our special ed has had a slight increase. Well, it's significant in that area. It doesn't show much on the graph, but and then looking at our economically disadvantaged in the blue here, coming in at 45.44%. And then what does that look like at the various campuses? And so we have Oak Point Elementary with 53.24% low SES, low economically disadvantaged students. But this is a big drop. In the past, they've been in the upper 60% range. I think last year was 66 point, almost 67%. And so we're seeing a drop at Oak Point like we saw 2 years ago at Hackberry with Wildridge coming on there. And so as the houses are coming into that neighborhood, we're seeing the socioeconomic status or ratio at that campus change. On the other hand, we'll have Chavez, which last year was about 39%, and they have moved up to 46%. And Lakeview as well has seen about a 4 or 5% increase there in the number of economically disadvantaged students. So we have limited English proficiency, and whenever we have a high Hispanic population, sometimes that comes with limited English proficient, high rates of students as well. What we're actually seeing is that we're seeing a lot of other languages move in to the district, and we're getting ready to run some reports to tell us what our numbers are for our other languages, because we have to watch those carefully in order to make sure that we're serving the students the best way that they need to. When we hit 30 students in one grade level, then we have to start offering bilingual services in that language. So we watch those different languages very carefully, and that's one of the reports that we've talked about creating in Focus, having Brandon create so that we can start watching and make sure that we don't have a certain classification of a language that's going to push us over into needing to serve students in a different way, because we have had quite a bit of other languages that have moved in. Does not surprise us with our the housing situation that Trent showed us, that we're seeing our high numbers of LEPs at Brent, Hackberry, and Oak Point. How we serve them, remember last year I told you we were going to start seeing these shift, and we are, because we are seeing at Hackberry, for example, no longer has any bilingual students. They're either all served with dual language or ESL. And so we will start seeing our dual language program as they're growing up, that we're starting to see the decrease in the straight bilingual programs. All right, so that is the statistics for our district and our dashboard as of our October 26th snapshot date. Any questions?
To your last point, Mega, do you see the numbers at Chavez and Lakeview change a little bit too then, in reverse? Because you're talking about how the bilingual classes will go down, but do you see an increase possibly in dual language with the population changing at those two schools?
Well, we have talked about adding a dual language program at Chavez or Lakeview. We have talked about that, and we are looking at a fourth campus. We thought we would be looking at that closer, but we have to make sure that we have enough of the base to support it at those campuses. Right now, what we're doing is we're moving students around by buses, and then to move students back or in the opposite direction for busing in order to make numbers. So we're watching those numbers carefully, but that is something that Magdalena Silva, our coordinator, advises us on, and then she'll let us know when we're ready to start moving in that direction.
But our plan is to expand dual language.
Okay.
Ideally, we would love it at every campus.
But I think that right now, we're not seeing the higher numbers in Hispanic languages. For example, at Lakeview, we're seeing more of the Islamic languages and the African languages coming in.
Thank you.
All right, Dr. Mecca, thank you. And again, thank you for what you do and our demographic report on the website. That performance dashboard is very helpful. So thank you again for creating that. At this point, I'd like to ask Ross Roberts to come back up for our Ed Services update.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Gallagher. President Myers, Board of Trustees, good evening again. Feels like I've spent just about the entirety of the evening with you guys, so thank you for the time that I get. It's always a privilege. And we are going over and kind of updating you and touching base with you on educational services and some of those highlights. But before I move to the next slide, I want to take time and really kind of talk about where the light should be shined on the people that actually do the work. And so I want to give a shout out and kind of talk about Mr. Severe, Dr. Micka, Ms. Ball, Dr. Glover. These guys are on the front lines every day with this new focus and kind of this vision of really impacting student success and what we need to do to be laser focused on improving instruction and really getting the results we need from students in our work out of the classrooms. So I want to say thank you to these guys. That being said, we're going to pop up and kind of share the wealth as we go through this presentation and really get into the meat and potato of what our department is about. So with that being said, you know, there are many things that we look at and that we have our hands on in the curriculum and learning department. And so taking all that into consideration, we wanted to do a presentation tonight that was very laser focused on student success and that instructional piece. And so what we have for you today or tonight is through the lens of our cornerstones and everything that we do, we put this over the top of our continued work so that we know the outcomes that we are going to get. With that being said, our job is to over communicate clarity, and that is what we do with our three cornerstones. So taking these out of order, if you look at the middle cornerstone, obviously we have been doing years of work with the rigor, relevant, and engaging framework. And so we are becoming very focused on the intentional design using those rubrics in the classroom. And actually we'll give you some examples and talking points of what now we are doing to actually see that in motion and see how that is working in the classroom with that design piece. Moving down to the third is our continued work with support in our professional learning communities. And then if you move back up the top, our focus on standards and adding that into our focus with our cornerstones. Moving into how we are approaching carrying out the standards and having those conversations and the movement, making sure that is in the classrooms, getting down to the students and what they're learning, is our data talks, which is bi-weekly, monthly data talks. And it goes to what I was talking about earlier with you all in executive session. Now that we know certain pieces of information coming from our classrooms through instructional strategies, through our common assessments, so on and so forth, what do we do with that information? So it's actually giving us action steps that we are sharing, discussing with our campus leadership through these data talks, and that will be shared with the teachers getting down to the students. Also, how does this data impact instruction, planning, and PLCs? And it all really is to inform ongoing learning for professionals. Done? I'm going to have Mr. Zavir step up and talk about his work with the system walkthroughs.
Absolutely. And again, President Myers, members of the board, Mr. Gallagher, we are really excited about this systematic approach that we've taken this year as far as walking classrooms. It's happening on several different levels. Our coordinators have a system walkthrough that they use that they can go through every room and kind of look to see what they're seeing from their lens. And then we also have a system walkthrough that Ms. Ball, Ross, and Cindy and I go through and look at from a director level and above, what are we seeing? And so the four key things that we're really looking for in this first wave of the first semester was, are the learning targets aligned? Meaning, are the TEKS, are the standards that we're supposed to be teaching aligned with what we're seeing done in the classroom? Second piece is, what modes of instruction are producing the greatest amount of success in the student learning through the common assessments that we take? The next one is, what type of student work is it producing? What do we see the students actually doing with the modes of instruction and with the learning targets that they're engaged with? And finally, what learning tools are utilized by the students to produce this student success that we're trying to drive for? And really what we've seen as we've been doing these walkthroughs is, if we see a solid learning target up, we see multiple modes of instructions, and we see student work produced in an authentic way, not just worksheet based. What we see is high levels of success with the students and high level of instruction going on in the classroom. And so we actually took the time to sit down with every principal throughout the district and go through that data so they would know what they can be looking for as well, just from our lens and our perspective. So that's one thing that I would say we're really proud of as a department. The second piece of this is how we support our approach to curriculum and instruction design. This I have to turn over all credit to the coordinators that we have in English language arts, math, science, and then social studies. Those four ladies get in and they really plan through what's called an understanding by design model, where they bring in teachers to help write curriculum. It gives them a better understanding of what is really laid out in what way, and the scope and sequence of what's to be taught, so they can then go back and drive their teams, lead out their teams to have the best success with students. It's a more labor-intensive process than just buying the curriculum and handing it over, but it adds more ownership because they're actually involved in the process of why we do what we do. The second piece of that is instructional support for research-based strategies. Our team this year has taken on, since about October, started to develop what we're calling a playbook. A playbook is research-based instructional strategies that have a high yield return in student success. And what we want to do is build a one-stop shop for teachers to say, if I'm struggling with this, what's a learning strategy I can go to? And we're only providing learning strategies that we know are research-based, highly effective, and that we can train out on. Not just, here's a book, go read, go forth and conquer. We want to make sure we can support them. We want to make sure that we've done the research for them so this it's not a Pinterest approach, right? They're just not yanking something off the net and hoping. They're actually getting a playbook that is very rich in information, but research-based for highly effective yield for student success. Okay. With that, I'm going to turn it over to, I think it's Amanda's.
President Myers, board, thank you so much. Whose glasses are these? Oh, I don't want to lose this. Which he loses daily. Oh, okay. I'll be very careful with those. So you notice on the bottom of most of those slides, it talks about how these things lead to the focus for adult learning. And so as we see things in classrooms and as we notice what students need, that really informs what professional learning that we offer for adults. So continuing our focus on rigorous and relevant and engaging lessons, this includes adult learning as well. And so all of the professional learning opportunities that we offer in the district are designed using the same rubrics that we ask teachers to use when they design lessons for the classroom. We also use the same rubrics to reflect on the professional learning that we've already provided. So when we facilitate an event, we go back and we reflect using the rubrics to say, how can we bump up the rigor or the relevance next time to improve our work? We also know that the most powerful professional learning is ongoing. And so we provide training for strategic moves to bump the rigor, relevance, and learner engagement that teachers can use tomorrow. So like Doug was saying, it's not about like, go read this and implement it on your own. This is something that, we'll bring somebody in, or we'll use one of our areas of expertise that we train, and then the next day they can do it in the classroom. So this is all part of a process that some of it has been going on for a couple of years, some of it is relatively new, but it all supports these cornerstones. And, you know, if somebody's like, well, we have to do this, it's like, well, who told you you have to do that? And it might be something that, that we can really take that focus and put it back on these three things. And when teachers realize it's just these three things, then it takes a lot of that pressure off and they can focus on these cornerstones.
Our third cornerstone is professional learning communities, and it kind of encompasses everything that has already been discussed. We've been very diligent the past couple of years of making sure that not only do we train on professional learning communities and we expect it, but we also support it. And one of the ways that we do that is through our calendar development. We ensure that we have 5 days that are built into the calendar where the teachers are able to meet with their professional learning communities without students on the campus. And we are very committed to continuing to provide that time for our teachers to work collaboratively. Another big piece is with our instructional leaders. Unless our leaders have the professional learning and the development that they need to be true instructional leaders focused on instruction, not the management of schools, but the instruction that is occurring in their buildings, we cannot progress as a district. And so we developed several years ago a learning for leaders, and this year we've really taken we've molded it and transformed it, and we're really focusing on what we are seeing in walkthroughs and what is being reported to us as needs from the teachers and from the principals. But we're doing very focused book studies, and then we're doing a turnaround tool for our campuses based on what we have seen in the past month's systematic walkthroughs. So if at the beginning, we weren't seeing all of the learning targets aligned. We did a whole lesson on learning targets, and Amanda created a turnaround tool that the principals could then take the very next week and turn that training around to their teachers of what a good learning target looked like and how is it supposed to be aligned. Talked about modes of instruction. What does that look like? So what we are seeing in our walkthroughs, we're immediately turning around the next month in our Learning for Leaders training. And that occurs, like I said, monthly. We also have district-wide learning provided on productivity, effectiveness, equity, and proficiency needed to function as highly effective PLCs. We brought in Bernadette Lambert, and we also have brought in Thomas Van Sully to help us move our PLCs forward. And so those are areas that we are working on and being supportive for our professional learning community. And then the last piece that we're working on that takes all of this together is the audit that y'all authorized us to do. And so this week, we on Wednesday through Friday, we'll have the CIMSE and TASA auditors on site. They've also have been working behind the scenes since November 2nd, going through document reviews that we've provided over, I think, about 250 pieces of documents or to them electronically, digitally, that they have been reviewing. They'll continue through the audit process and then give us the results in March. And I want to let y'all know that this isn't an audit where it's just going to all be yay, good flowers, and it's not that type of an audit. This is called a deficit audit, and it's for recommendations. And so that's why we call it a deficit audit. They are looking for the areas that we need to improve in. From that, they will have findings that they will prepare for the executive team and for the board. And then from that, we will go through a reflection on what those are. We'll look at what our top areas that we want to address that we know that will have the biggest impact on the district. We'll go through a refinement period and a revision period where we're looking at how we can address those needs. So that being said, are there any questions?
Dr. Mecca, I think you'll see a very clear focus on the team within educational services. And I think that you will see a clear approach, a very refined approach on us looking at the knowing and doing gap and actually confirming that what we are saying is to happen actually taking place in the classroom. Are there any questions?
Any questions from the man? Yeah, I think this looked great. The one thing that, I think I've talked to Mr. Gallagher about before is what I've seen is just the level. So for a subject, for example, just the difference between the teaching methods.
Classrooms.
From classroom to classroom. And I would, I think you could probably get that out of some of the stuff you were talking about, Mr. Severe, but just understanding one teacher is doing it one way, another is offering different support, the level of success between the two. Is there a better method to be doing? Are they collaborating in that to make sure that we're getting all of those students in that same subject what they need?
That is right. Opportunities for all. And I think through our systemic walkthroughs, we are gathering those data points. And really now we've kind of gotten to a point so quickly that we are able, and I'll remember which one, we are actually sharing that back with our principals, even as a turnaround tool that they can go back and start working with their staff to minimize that and start working with them, but also in our professional learning communities, sharing those data points and those strategies and that information to minimize that.
Yeah, I'm in that unique position because I have twins in the same grade. So I've
You
seen
bet.
that year over year.
That's right.
The same subject being taught two different ways or different levels of support. So
Absolutely.
perfect. All right. Any other questions?
No, I just want to say a thank you to Mr. Roberts and Ms. Ball and Mr. Severe, Dr. Mika, Dr. Glover for the work that you guys are doing in Ed Services. We really are raising the bar, but I want to take a moment just to say a special thank you to the teachers. And I think Mr. Severe, just gave you a doctorate. He's confirmed, he's confirmed that we've got amazing teachers in this district that are working so hard at helping our students become successful. But having this focus and really coming up with the cornerstones of what we are doing as a district, I think will help those teachers because at the end of the day, it's really providing the support for the teachers that's all of our jobs. So appreciate y'all with your focus and what you guys are doing.
Incredible work by our teachers, like you said. Here's a perfect example. Our last round of data talks, which took place right before going out for Thanksgiving break, one of the questions to our campus leadership was, what are the conversations that are taking place amongst your teachers? And it's the cornerstones, it's the common planning, it's the work that we talked about and the focus that we talked about. Those are the things that are taking place amongst our teachers. So a big thank you to our teachers doing a fantastic job.
Sorry, I thought we were finished. We have one more. Mr. Martin, thank you for coming up. I asked Mr. Martin to come up and talk about the name change on the athletic complex that had come up. That topic was up for discussion at one of our last board meeting. And we had some questions concerning the financial impact if we did change the name of the athletic complex. So again, we asked Mr. Martin to come up and talk about, and I'll turn it over to you.
Where we are. Not being a very imaginative individual, I asked our resident expert on image, Casey Bain, to take a look at this. And you see on your screens, the upper right-hand corner is what we currently have. It's unlit, pin-mounted letters. The one on the left side has proportion to it. It has the correct logo to it, and it changes the name to Lobo Stadium. The emphasis on the word Lobo. It was our understanding at the time that we wanted to upgrade the class of this sign and make it something that you could see for some distance. So in order to do that, it needs to be an internally lit sign. It needs to be more substantial than just flat letters on the side of the building. We've engaged local sign company that the district has done business with to take a look at that. They're still in the process of discovery. They were on top of the building before Thanksgiving to locate power locations. There's another level of investigation that needs to be done once they come up with the basic design of what this sign will be made out of, not just what it looks like, but the materials. So we get an idea of what kind of weight it's going to have, because then we have to go in and look at the structural capabilities of the existing building to hold that sign on the building. So there's several other steps that we need to go through, but again, this is our first stab at a rename. Obviously, it's going to be whatever you guys want it to be.
Yeah, Mr. Martin, let me jump in just for a second. And again, Lobo Stadium, and I want to be clear to the public that's watching, this is just a name that was thrown out. To rename the stadium, we would go through our process that we've gone through with renaming buildings or naming our new buildings. We'd put it out for the community to have some input in it. We'd bring it back to the board, let the board look those names. But I do like I don't want to take away what Casey has done. She's done a great job with this, but I wanted to be clear for the community that was watching that no vote has been taken on naming it Lobo Stadium. But that was an example that was given for the purpose of this.
It's for the purpose of pricing. The overall size of this is like, 15 by 20 feet at the top, and then the logo itself is like 10 feet by 15 feet. I mean, these are large three-dimensional signs, and you will see them from the bridge. I mean, it's going to be a long distance read. But a sign of that magnitude is going to cost. And early numbers, not having everything tied down, are between $175,000 to $200,000. And it could be more if we have to retrofit the structure of the stadium.
Now, can I ask something, Mr. Martin? If the board in the community, we went through the process to rename it, and again, this would be a decision for the board, but if we didn't go with the backlit and we went with something that we have now, more traditional, a static type sign, and I know you probably don't have the exact dollar amount, but it wouldn't be in that range. I would imagine it would be less than the dollar amount you.
Static pin mounted signs would be less money, yes, sir.
Okay.
We wanted to give you an idea of what it could be. Okay? Any questions? Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Martin.
Whoever did the design, that was pretty cool.
Yeah, Casey Bain did that.
That was really cool, Casey. Thank you.
And I do want to point out, we do have that open right now. Mr. Roberts, I hate to put you on the spot, but the naming of facilities is active on our website, correct?
It stays there and lives. I'm not exactly sure where it is, but there is a link and it basically stays open all the time. So we're constantly taking in names. What typically will happen now is if you all decide on naming the stadium, communications will send a blast out letting everybody to know that where it's located, the form, fill it out for community input, so on and so forth.
So if that's something the board's interested in doing, we can do that. It doesn't take a board vote to put that out. So we certainly can do that. It would take a board vote to change the name. So.
All right, well, we'll move on to action items. First up, discuss and approve the Little Elm ISD 1920 calendar. Dr. Mika.
I believe that the board sheet in the board book got tangled with my other board sheet. And so when that was noticed, we made you a copy and it was you should see it on your the correct board sheet. My two board sheets got tangled in the board book. So the correct one, you have a print copy of. Just a little bit of background. Several years ago, the HB 2610 moved us from 180 days to 75,600 minutes. We've been very successful on creating calendars that meet that. This year was a little bit more difficult because right before we were going to take this to the committee in October, we noticed that the TEA had changed the assessment calendar without us being aware. And so kind of slowed down the process a little bit. We were able to, after speaking with our neighboring districts and seeing what they were looking towards and what they were taking to their boards, we did develop two calendars that we took to the DEIC November 1st, and then we took to the community for survey. The results are on your screen. We had a large response this year. We had 1,827 responses to our survey. Of those, 1,216 were parents. And like I said, we took two calendar options, calendar A and calendar B. And calendar B was the one that the respondents preferred the most, coming in at 57.7%. And so calendar B is the calendar that we will be recommending for approval for the 2019-2020 Little Elm ISD calendar.
I need a motion to approve Little Elm ISD calendar for 1920. Do I have a second? Any questions for Dr. Mecca?
Yes, I have one. And I think this also goes to Ross. In both of these, when I was reviewing these, how do we think these are going to affect the graduation timeline? Because you said with our neighboring districts, so are our neighboring districts ending around the same time? Because once again, I'm thinking about our priority level where we're holding our graduation event. Classes are getting larger. That's Memorial Weekend. How are we thinking this is going to affect that? Because on both calendars, they had the same end dates.
Right. I think that it depends upon how our neighbors to our east are ending after Memorial Day, a good week after Memorial Day. One of our neighbors to the west, I don't want to exactly say which one because I'm not sure that they were supposed to take it to their board, but I hadn't seen the results of their board meeting. Looks very similar to ours. Very, very similar to ours. And then, but we know that one of the bigger neighbors, that's our southern neighbor, we think they're going to outgrow UNT. And so, and we're not quite sure what they'll be doing. I will let you know that with the change in the assessment calendar, several districts are choosing to end quite a bit later. And so I think that that is actually a positive for us because it might give us a better chance to have a better graduation time at UNT.
Right, because I'm just worried about ending on a Friday and not having a graduation ceremony till a following Friday, a week later, and I'm just, or I'm not worried about Thursday. I'm just worried about we graduate, well, our kids are done on Friday, and then they got to wait a whole week for graduation because now we're bumped behind everybody else from a graduation date based upon when they're ending.
Do that a year in advance.
No,
We will do that in May.
Yeah, we don't anticipate that being an issue, but I'm in agreement with you. That would be not a good situation. So we don't anticipate that.
Yeah, that wouldn't be a good situation. And typically what will happen is in April and May, they will get every district that is graduating in that facility in one room, and you can't do it any earlier. And then there's a pecking order. And so like Dr. Micah said, if people are graduating a little bit later than we are, we actually get bumped up. And so it's easier for us to get a better time slot.
Okay. Okay.
You
That
know,
was my
and then
only-
like she said, district to our south, they're getting so big, they take up multiple days. They think they might outgrow, which will help. So the longer we stay on that list, the higher up we go.
Right, I remember all that. I just kind of wanted to make sure where we thought we would, how this would affect us on that date for sure.
And I'm sorry.
I actually think that us ending before Memorial Day is going to help us this year because I think a lot of our districts are going to push
Well, that was my hope. My hope was the other districts around us would be ending later than us so that we would get a date closer to when our actual, kids are done with graduation day.
Any other questions from the board?
I was just gonna add a little statement is, I do know from a conversation I had a couple weeks ago with several trustees of different districts in the area that the one to the south of us is definitely looking for a new location because 3 of their 5 schools right now will not fit up at the Super Pit. So they are definitely looking to move their graduations.
All right, I have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please raise your hand. Any opposed? Motion carries.
President Myers, if I could request that we move item E, I'm sorry, Cleta, if we could move item E next, if we could move that up.
Sure. Yep.
Mr. Martin, if you could come up to discuss the scoreboard replacement.
I'm sorry, I dozed off.
That's okay.
Yes. Good evening once again. This is the scoreboard replacement, scoreboards, multiple replacements at the athletic stadium, which you approved us to move forward with taking a look at that. This is the active video display, which is the main scoreboard, which is a part of this. It's very large, 31 feet wide by 24 feet tall. It's all video. Also includes a new sports sound system, which is 22 feet wide and 6 feet tall, sitting on top of that. So you get a new sound system as well as a new main video board. And this video board not only does actual video, but it also can do some of the things you see across the bottom of the screen. It's very versatile. It comes with a full video capabilities of doing whatever you want to do up there. You also get a secondary scoreboard at the other end of the field. This is a more standard, typical type scoreboard. But you also get 2 new play clocks, one on either end of the field as well to replace the ones that we currently have. Schedule pending resolution of permit issues and those kinds of things. Could be second quarter of 2019, have it all done and in. And it's subject to change, obviously, with weather conditions and playing schedules and all those kinds of things. And you have the amount that's in your board book. This total amount is a little over $1 million. I think we had shown you it'd be something like 1.1 when we went through the phase 1B items, and we earmarked that much. So we're coming in just a little bit under that. The actual Daktronics agreement for the scoreboards is $878,000. But that includes, like I said, all of those, includes installation, shipping, training, all the software, which is a pretty major component, as you might imagine. It's our recommendation that you approve this purchase as presented.
I need a motion to approve.
So moved.
Do I have a second? Second. Any questions from the board?
I do have a question. I got one. Go ahead.
Sorry. Have we gauged any kind of feelers for what's the appetite for marketing opportunities with this and what that might look like?
We started down that road and we stopped because the board was a good purchase. Can't completely answer that. We know we've got at least 2 on the hook right now, for sure.
And I'll jump in. We actually, even with our marquee on the main road, we already have a person who's advertising on that. So there will be some interest, definitely some interest on that scoreboard, especially football games, any athletic event at the field. So the answer is yes, there's definitely going to be interest. We don't have, you mentioned we have some solid interest right now, but I would imagine once it's approved, if you do approve it, then they'll be able to move forward and get some more.
with it and all that.
Be like commercials on TV.
Your Chick-fil-A first down, basically.
All about that spicy chicken sandwich, first down. Rick, does this have the capabilities to also give us flexibility with other events such as the track and field? Does the scoreboard allow us to be able to, I know, we always see the traditional score and everything, but does that bottom give us the flexibility like when we're running the 4x100s and things like that, actually show times? And then also, no offense, I'll throw a little plug in for band, being able to do a little bit for the band contest because the timers and everything else to be able to show that. Hey, it's a nice fundraiser.
Yeah.
It's a fully
Put the
capable
shout outs
video
up on the board.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, no on that one. Okay, that's all I question. I just wanted to make sure for the other venues and events.
I just have one minor question. On the secondary board on the, I guess, the south end of the stadium, for secondary board, I'm just curious, is it really a necessity to have something with all the exact same figures that are just on north board, or is that just there to be a more traditional type board? That's true. Okay. Makes complete sense. Did not even consider that. Yeah. Makes perfect sense. Okay.
And timeline, you might have mentioned this already, if approved. Kim.
I think we should be able to hit second quarter. Again, depending on schedule and play schedules.
Between April and June.
April and June. So before the 1920 school year?
Before the end of this school year.
You said second quarter, I went second semester. I would put this over a year out. Wow, that's a long time. Thank you. It's past my bedtime.
Any other questions? All right, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please raise your hand. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Good, thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Martin.
Are we continuing down? Okay. Discuss and approve one professional diagnostician, FTE. I know, I can't say that word. Ms. Epps.
Good evening, President Myers and Board, Mr. Gallagher. The administration is recommending approval for one additional professional diagnostician, FTE. We have seen student growth in excess of 10% in the special populations program, and that is what is necessitating the additional FTE.
All right, I need a motion to approve as submitted. Do I have a second? Any questions from the board?
I did see this the funding was coming out from federal, correct? Not out of
From
local?
federal, correct.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Any other questions? All right, all those in favor, please raise your hand. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Epps. Discuss and approve financial reports. Mr. Anderson?
Good evening again, President Myers and Board of Trustees. You have the September 2018 financial reports. And also just remember that the complete August 2018 financials will be presented with the audit report next month. And the budget amendments include all amendments through November 2018 for the 2018-19 fiscal year. The estimated budgetary fund balance decreased $540,545, yet that was a surplus that we had coming into this board meeting. So now we have a budgetary fund balance is balanced with our revenue. The major budget amendments for 2018-19 fiscal year, the general fund renovations, repairs, and maintenance projects and budgets rolled forward from 2017-18 in the amount of $255,000. So these are projects that were started in 2017-18, but were not completed. And then $95,000 increase for staff development. And other general fund future financial considerations. I wanted to bring this to you all again, just keep on our sights as far as some long-term forecasting and considerations as we make decisions, for current budget amendments, increased operating costs for new facilities, and the possibility of a slowdown in the growth of taxable assessed values resulting in decrease in year-over-year general fund revenue. And this was, again, Trent went over the demographics, and I think we're trying to brace due to the state funding mechanism that we've reviewed a few times at the board meetings and workshops of the lag in the comptroller values, which could result in a decrease in state funding as we have a slowing of the growth of our TAVs. And then the ongoing preventive and deferred maintenance cost of buildings and the approved capital reimbursement resolution for the 2017 bond of up to $10 million. And this is our fund balance analysis. The 2018-19 initial budget was a balanced budget, and our current budget, our budget fund balance is about 29.4 million. If you approve the budget amendments today, it'll decrease the fund balance about $540,000, again, bring it to a balanced, a planned budgetary fund balance. And again, the 2017-18 actual fund balance we recognize after the independent audit's completed. And these are their financials, our initial budgeted estimated revenue of $71 million, and the proposed amendments are increasing estimated revenue about $20,000. So our amended budget after tonight, if the budget amendments are approved, is $72.3 million. And these, again, each board meeting, we look at the appropriations at the campus level, and that percentage is 76% of our budget. And our estimated appropriations matched our estimated revenue at the beginning of the year, and our proposed amendments will increase our appropriations by $555,620. Again, bringing us to a balanced budget. And these are the bond projects. I think it's important to keep in front of the community as we work on all these bond projects over the next few years. We've had bond sales up to 2 bond sales resulting in $175 million. These are the board-approved projects. You can see the land and the vestibules, and you can see those, and those were brought to the board last month also, and you can see the year-to-date expenditures that will continue to change month over month. And the continuation of this is, you see the buses, and what Rick brought to you all tonight was the stadium scoreboard that's pending. And it's in red because tonight, if you approve that, that'll be changed to approved with the budget, with the project budget. You can see our issued bond balance of $151 million remaining after the approved budgets for these itemized projects. And the transportation operation building, which is paid partially out of the general fund. And you see the year-to-date expenditures about $1.9 million. And these are the other financials that were submitted in your board packet. And the administration recommends approval of the September 2018 financial reports as presented.
Need a motion to approve?
So moved.
Do you have a second?
Second.
Any questions for Mr. Anderson? All right, all those in favor, please raise your hand. Any opposed? Motion carries. Discuss and approve Little Elm ISD interlocal summary report.
We only have one item on the interlocal summary report, and that's Dr. Cindy Mecca has Region 10 ESC for school improvement. The Title III bilingual ESL out of region cooperative provides member LEAs or local education agencies or campuses with access to services and training aimed at improving teacher and administrator knowledge and skill in educating students through bilingual and ESL programs. And the cost of this is $8,000. The administration recommends approval of the Little Elm ISD interlocal summary report as submitted.
Need a motion to approve as submitted?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any questions? All those in favor, please raise your hand. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Anderson. Discuss and approve the approval of Little Elm ISD Middle School attendance zones.
Good evening again, board members and Mr. Gallagher. Dr. Tipton and I are going to go over the middle school attendance zones we did workshop with you previously before the break. And so this is more of a condensed version, but all those presentations are all on our website. And so I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Tipton to start.
So thank you guys very much, board, Mr. Gallagher. So the vision for the committee came from a recommendation from Mr. Gallagher. And Mr. Reeves and I, again, just to echo, we're really appreciative of Mr. Gallagher for allowing us to work on this project. It's been super fun and just a really cool adventure, a really cool learning adventure for me especially. So from the first day that this plan was proposed, we've created a dedicated website and we've been very transparent. Every single thing that we've done has been posted to the website. As soon as it's been done, all the dates, the times, the information, the updates, applications, presentations, etc. We had 62 citizens that applied for the zoning committee, and the school board had the opportunity to choose one member each. And we chose 30 members for the committee. We had a total of 25 that committed and were able to attend the zoning meeting. We had a wide variety of citizens on the committee: teachers, grandparents, future parents, some members from the original long range and the bond committee. And I know that there's actually one member of the committee here tonight. So she's going to be our representative that I'm going to thank tremendously for credence to the entire process of the committee than Mr. Reeves and I could do, because she was a member and she had some fellow members that were there that really carried the conversation with the citizens who had questions. So we're really appreciative to you for helping out and to all the members who couldn't stick around tonight, but their dedication is appreciated. And their names are on the presentation and on the website. So the committee was able to reach consensus on the proposed map before you tonight after about 2 hours of working together with each other and with Mr. Smith, who you met earlier from Templeton Demographics. They were able to reach consensus. They considered enrollment trends, growth, housing patterns, transportation, population balance between the schools, and then the building capacity over time. We hosted an online thought exchange, which was a brilliant idea that came from Cecilia Jones in our office. We had 539 community participants, which is a really, really good turnout for an online exchange. 252 original thoughts and almost 10,000 citizen stars were awarded to those thoughts. And again, that is also on the website, the full results, but the response was overwhelmingly in support of the map that's before you tonight. The communications team, myself and Mr. Reeves, we took every thought from Thought Exchange and we took every comment and question that was posted on Facebook and we turned those into FAQs and we posted them all on the website. And our FAQs have been updated after every community meeting, and every time we get a comment or a question that's different from one that's up there, we update those. So we've tried to keep that very up to date and transparent. And then finally, in addition, we hosted the 2 face-to-face meetings. We had a total of 10 total citizens to attend the meetings, and then obviously several committee members attended as well. The committee members were invaluable in the effort explaining how the group reached its consensus. And the community was also very well in support of us. There were some people who expressed some concerns that said, listen, this is how this is going to affect me as a parent, but overall very cordial and very supportive. So that's kind of a quick outline of our process, and Mr. Reeves is going to walk you through some maps.
And I will say I've been through several of these, and then by far this was I think the easiest one I've ever been through. And I think that's just a credit to the leadership of Mr. Gallagher and also to Dr. Tipton and his team. I mean, just getting that information out in front of the public. So thank you so much, Dr. Tipton, for all that. Just real quick, this is our project action plan. So this is on our website. This is part of each of those presentations, not only that we did to the attendance zone committee meetings, but also to the community meetings. We had this project action plan, just showed what we did, and we show it here tonight as well. This is the proposed, again, these would take, if the board approves these this evening, they will take effect August of 2020 when the 2 new middle schools that Mr. Martin will have ready for us in August of 2020. So this is the proposed plan that we asked for your approval tonight. Again, it's kind of the bluish area would be for your Jerry R. Walker Middle School, and then the kind of greenish area would be Lowell H. Strike Middle School. That kind of line is split. The red lines you see on the plan are our elementary zones. And so there are a couple elementaries that are split. And so, for instance, you'll see that Sunset Point is that Lakeview Elementary Zone. A portion of Sunset Point will be headed over to Jerry Walker Middle School. And then we also have Winfield Farms, that's part of Brent, and also that Lobo Lane area. Brent's kind of, spread out along the district there. Will be going along to Jerry R. Walker Middle School as well. So this is a proposed plan. I think, Mr. Olson, you had some questions on the numbers. So if we open the school, let's say today, it would be 839 at Jerry R. Walker Middle School, 957 at Lowell H. Strike Middle School. 10 years out, we're at 1151 over at Walker and 1204. Remember, those capacities for those campuses are 1,200. And so the committee and the community meetings, we balance those student populations over time. And so that's to make sure we don't go back in a year or two and have to rezone. And so the actual numbers year by year, Mr. Olson, are on the website as well as those previous presentations. So you can go back and look at those if you'd like to. We just provided this to the public just to show that the link for the FAQs. And so again, thank you, Dr. Tipton, for that. And that's about it. So the administration is recommending approval of the proposed zone as presented to you this evening for the middle school attendance zones.
Need a motion to approve as submitted. Do I have a second? Any questions?
Thank you.
We're good? All right. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please raise your hand. Any opposed?
No,
Was that
I was late.
Oh, okay. You're confusing.
No, I was late, yes. I'm sorry, I was
Okay.
writing something down.
Thank you so much.
All right, thank you.
President Myers, can I just say something very quickly? I want to thank Dr. Tipton and Mr. Reeves for their work on this. They did a fabulous job working with the community, communicating, and also a special thank you to Corinne. Thank you for being here and your work on the committee. And again, being at both meetings was very helpful. So thank you for that. Appreciate you.
All right, consent agenda. Anything you want to pull? No. All right, so I need a motion to approve consent as presented
So moved.
or submitted, I'm sorry. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, any questions? All those in favor, please raise your hand. Any opposed? Motion carries on consent. I don't believe I have any comments. Right. I thought maybe Sonia would
Mark it
tell me
down.
if I missed any, forgot something, but yeah, I'm also tired.
That's our holiday gift?
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
Happy
Don't worry, I'll
Thanksgiving.
take care of it for
Happy
you.
Thanksgiving. So I'll open it up to board comments. Mr. Flores.
Thank you, Mr. Reeves and Dr. Tipton, for all the work in the attendance zone committee. There's a lot of work that goes into that. I've been on a committee like that before, and I appreciate the transparency that took place during this process. Thank you very much for all your work.
Mr. Olson.
Echo Mr. Flores' comments. Grateful for all the work from staff. Thank y'all very much. It's been a very smooth process. The only thing I would like to bring back up as another topic for the December meeting, I know, and I apologize for not being at the last meeting, is the social media policy. I believe we're supposed to have feedback from the attorneys. And I have not seen that to date, but I'd like to press that we get that back sooner rather than later. And we put this back on the meeting agenda so that in December we can have this completed, done, voted, ready to come in front of the board, please. And that's it for me.
Wow, short.
To the
Mr.
point.
Montemayor?
Just echo what my colleagues have said as well. Just thank you for everybody's hard work and for everything that you do every day.
Okay, I'll keep it short. But no, from, as a board standpoint and as a parent standpoint, I've had lots of, I guess, opportunities and witnessed a lot of different things. And I just, the amount of servant leadership that I've seen from not only Mr. Gallagher, but from the admin, from several of the teachers that I've been fortunate enough to interact with, it's wonderful to see. And I just want to say thank you guys. I see an exhibit here all the time where you guys not only provide resources, you grow with people, you help people. Not only are you, developing the staff to make them better, to meet the expectations we need, but you're also doing it with our parents. Myself included, you're doing it with our students, and you're leading by example. And I can't thank y'all enough for that. And as someone who I really love Robert Greenleaf. He's one of my inspirations for when I'm teaching people and when I see it in action, and I see it all the time from you guys, and I never really get to stop and say thank you for it. But anyway, just thank you very, very much for that. And it is noticed, at least for me. So thank you guys.
Mr. Blackwood?
So I'd like to say thank you, staff, for all your support and making our jobs a little easier. Thank you very much.
Mr. Gallagher?
Just very briefly, thank you, staff, for staying late. Appreciate y'all. Yeah, thank y'all. And again, just thank you to the board for your continued support. You heard a lot of the great things that we have going on right now and our focus of moving the district forward. And again, it starts with the board, so we appreciate y'all. And also, I want to say a special thank you to Ms. Badillo for all of the work that you do as well. So thank you.
All right, I need a motion to adjourn. Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor? All right, motion to adjourn, 10:02 PM. I almost forgot.
I got very much. The little